As has been demonstrated on this show, Ben Shapiro is creatively illiterate. He's uh, he's like most conservatives in that sense. You know, he tried to be a screenwriter when he was younger, but he failed, and he blamed some imaginary liberal bias in Hollywood as the reason for his failure. And it's so funny when right wingers complain about cancel culture, all the while they're out there trying to cancel culture. You know what I mean? Ben Shapiro does not have the ability to understand complexity in a story. He doesn't understand. Most conservatives have this problem. Anything that requires them to search inward in any manner whatsoever induces anxiety in them. That's why they need to have everything spelled out like a Marvel movie, you know? Here's Ben Shapiro attempting to review The Last of Us, which is that zombie TV show where Ron Swanson fell in love with the guy.
So, it is this character Joel and this character Ellie, and they are navigating the zombie apocalypse. And then we get to, so that's the first couple episodes, and they're good, they're really compelling. Again, really well made, really well written. And then we get to episode 3, and this, according to the media, is the single greatest episode of television that has ever been. If you read the headlines on episode 3, this is the most important thing that has ever happened in the history of television.
Hey, remember that headline in the New York Times? This zombie show, episode 3, is the biggest thing that's ever happened on television ever. Bigger than the moon landing, or Lee Harvey Oswald's assassination, or when the Challenger blew up on 9/11. This is the biggest thing that ever happened ever on television, according to Ben Shapiro. That's what the media said.
CNN, The Last of Us, just made an early claim to one of the best TV episodes of 2023.
Oh, so in other words, unless television was invented in 2023, Ben was lying again. Full disclosure, I do not like zombie stuff. I watched the first 3 episodes of this because I had a free HBO trial. I'm not really that interested in zombie stuff. I don't like zombies, therefore I don't like zombie movies. Zombies are a bad combination of entitled and stupid. And to me, that's gross. It's cringy. Vampires are a combination of deadly and sexy. That meshes. Werewolves are a combination of being very hairy and being very good at basketball. That's a combination that blends well. But zombies are both arrogant and entitled, as well as being flat out dumb. In this episode, they go to a museum. It's like a shortcut or something like that. And the girlfriend gets killed by a zombie. Now, these zombies were patrolling this museum like the police, like they were the security there. All right? This is a tax-funded institution, free and available to the public. You can't tie your shoes. You can't complete a sentence. But you have the audacity to tell people that they can't go into a museum? Like you suddenly own the place? You're a zombie. The only good zombie movies are the ones where only zombies get killed. The Dawn of the Deads are alright. But that's why I don't watch zombie movies. Just FYI.
The Last of Us viewership soars 12% to a new series high with heartbreaking episode 3. It's historic. It's important. Okay, guys, it's historic and important. Now, why is it historic and important? It's historic and...
Keep in mind, Ben Shapiro is now producing movies. And also keep in mind that he doesn't produce original screenplays because he doesn't know anybody who has the ability to write an original screenplay. He buys screenplays that are in limbo at other studios. He didn't know that having Gina Carano as his lead in an action movie, especially a Western, was going to backfire on his bigoted, misogynistic audience. Keep that in mind. And that movie failed.
Freaking important because it's about two gay dudes. That's why. So the essential plot of this episode, which is the problem with this episode, and again, you want to make Brokeback Zombie Farm or whatever, fine. But
That was a little joke because Ben Shapiro puts the fun in fundamentalism.
the problem with this episode is that it absolutely does not advance the plot in any way and actually has no consequences. So the entire plot of the episode is that...
Yeah, okay, so I saw the episode, and in fact, it has major consequences. In fact, that episode was a very, essentially a background story of a person who wrote the main character a letter. And that letter is a deciding factor in the motivations and what motivates the main character for the rest of the story. He's at a crossroads moment. Ron Swanson's hot bod wrote a letter that incited the main character's motivation. It's the engine of the rest of the story. Ben didn't realize that. He got distracted by Ron Swanson's hot bod or something. This is why Ben's studio is going to fail. You know why? Because they don't hire me. I wrote the greatest screenplay ever. Not the greatest, but the greatest screenplay I've ever written, which is my only screenplay. It's called Bruce Lee versus Muhammad Ali versus Rocky. It's the startling true story about how Muhammad Ali had his title stripped when he protested Vietnam. The boxing commission was controlled by the mob, the Corleone family. They convinced the boxing commissioner, Gallagher, to strip Ali of his title. They were following orders from the head of the FBI, Richard Nixon. So Rocky and Muhammad Ali joined forces to fight the mob and the FBI. But then Richard Nixon hires Bruce Lee to assassinate Ali. But Bruce Lee betrays Nixon, joined forces with Ali and Rocky, so then the title is a red herring. They're really a team fighting the FBI and the mob, and they get some help from some people. First, they go on a hot date with the Charlie's Angels, but then they get help from John Lennon, the Maoist guerrilla / musician / cannibal. And they got to go to the White House, dressed up like Sgt. Pepper's because President John Wayne is a big Beatles fan. They ask him what his favorite Beatles song is, and he says, that one about the submarine. And he goes, you mean the yellow submarine? He goes, that's right, that submarine was yellow. And they go to the Pentagon to steal the Pentagon Papers. It's a whole thing. It's a brilliant story. All based on history. Ben Shapiro could have never thought of that. Nobody Ben Shapiro knows could have thought of that, except maybe Vincent Gallo. And I don't know what that even is at this point. Here's my last point. I want a bit of information. Ben Shapiro bought the rights to Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Somebody already tried to make Atlas Shrugged a movie, just maybe 5 years ago. Tanked. Ben apparently doesn't know that. This is going to be a huge production. And the Daily Wire's movie studio, movie making days, I'm guessing, are numbered.